I want to go back in time to the year 2000. And
in the year 2000.
I'm gonna read something, and then I want to get primarily Brandon's take, his reminiscence on this, and maybe also you, Matt. Maybe you might have some reminiscing, but okay. I'm gonna read from this is from NextGov FCW Dateline, October 9th, 2000, and it says, Site Angel is a service, not a product, said Brandon Wichard, product marketing manager for Houston-based VMC. Oh, they missed a quote here. It measures online customer satisfaction as it simulates transactions end-to-end at a website. Oh, wait, that's not a quote. That's what they're saying. Mm-hmm. And then the quote goes on, Site Angel makes requests, sees how long it takes, and knows where the errors happen. Now, Brandon, what I want to know is, do you remember those quotes? Do you remember saying, typing, or approving those messages?
I can't say I remember that exact wording, but like I did a lot of that around that time. I did a lot of saying the similar things, typing similar things, having people type things like that and ask me to approve it, and I would say yes. So 100%. I'll take. So that's a long way of saying yes. I would claim, although I can't remember it in the court of law, I'd be like, that was probably me. I probably did that.
NextGov FCW is probably trustworthy. Now, I think it's amazing that this article has stayed online this long. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, I guess it's a testament. The nextgov.com site, solid, right?
Yeah.
They're not just a Johnny come lately or a Jane go swiftly, or whatever. But you know, so it's still there. There's only, now that I'm looking at the full article, there's only 2 character encoding mistakes that happened when they tried to use a dash or an M dash at some point. You can see that happening. But other than that, it's survived well. Now at that time, Brandon, did you have to go to media training for this?
I did.
The year 2000?
I went into full on media training down in Houston, Texas, in a trained mostly by people that did like local news and stuff, and then a full on studio and everything. So it was.
Wow.
It was interesting. So yeah, so the way it works, this is interesting. A quick media, at least how this media training went. It's like, so you show up, you're supposed to be dressed nice, like for like the media, and then you're kind of sitting in the classroom setting. And then what they do is they come in, and at first they, like someone else I was with came in, they called them out. They're like, Coach, I'm sorry, there's a call for you. Could you just even like kind of like around? I guess people had cell phones, but like they would come in and be like, actually, the office is calling for you. Would you come out? And so I saw like you or like a colleague like you like leave and then come back. Thought nothing of it. And then later on, they're like, Brandon, actually, it turns out there's a call for you. I was like, okay. And then they get you in the hallway. There is no call. They're like, we want you to go do an interview right now. And so they go sit you down in a studio with I don't know, if you will, Mike Wallace kind of 60 minutes figure. And he immediately starts asking you all these questions, right? And they tape it, right? So you have no preparation. You have no idea it's about to happen. And then incredibly painful, they go back through and then show everybody's video. Like they're unprepared. This is what you did. And they just show you all the mistakes you make. So then later, and then throughout the day, they teach you like, here's what you can do and how you can be great. But always like, it made a great impression on me. I was like, wow. I was like, there's nothing worse than I think not being prepared, being videotaped, and then in a very small setting, a safe setting, being critiqued. I was like, that was a very memorable day for me.
Yeah.
I like it.
No wonder you could come up with such tight quotes like that. Just very, very specific. No angles to carve into. It's good stuff. Yeah. Huh. Well, I was reminded. I came across that quote because I was reading. I didn't. As it happens every year, I'm looking forward to hearing. Probably from Brandon primarily. You always watch the reInvent stuff. I saw some writing in our Slack at softwaredefinedtalk.com/Slack. You can find it. That, of course, will give you a link to go to Slack. We don't host our own Slack. We don't have sovereign cloud Slack that we host. But I saw some activity there, not as much as I've seen in past years, where there will just be like pages and pages of commentary. But that's fine. But I looked that up because I came across one thing. I don't know if this was in your extensive coverage, but they have this thing. I guess you have to say AWS in front of everything, called AWS Nova Act. And Nova is their AI word.
Brand. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Brand. There you go. I have not been to brand training, I guess. But
That's what I learned at brand training.
I think what
Brand.
it is, like it was something about like, agentic fleet management for UI something. And I realized what it is it's like web scraping with an LLM, like running UI stuff. And then I was like, oh, it's like the stuff we used to work on, the Site Angel stuff.
Yeah, just basically web performance
except at
monitoring,
scale.
and yep. Mm-hmm.
Which seems like, and then I mean, there's two things. One, what a thing to have at the general purpose hardware store. Like, just that there's enough demand in the world that AWS was like, we should make a product out of this. So
Yep.
that got me imagining, like, wow, I wonder what people do with this thing. I mean, I guess you could just do like simple testing of websites and just have it be more advanced, because you could tell the LLM, like, just go fuck with this website from like 500 nodes and see if it works. It's like way beyond Chaos Monkey stuff. But then also there's probably people who are like doing stuff with web scraping. like I remember I actually coincidentally, I worked for a very short amount of time. I worked at this company called Liaison, and they had a Windows-based desktop web scraper thing, and you would program it, and it would go out and scrape the web in like, I don't even know when, 2004 or something like that, like it was primarily used for like pricing research. So like
Yeah.
I think that you like maybe even, I don't know who customers were, but they would just go look at their competitors and scrape and scrape prices.
Web scraping.
And I remember I worked in the PS group. I didn't know what a PS group was, and that's probably why I only lasted there 4 months. Which is like, great job, tech recruiter. But they just spent their whole time. There's always that one person who knows what they're doing and smokes a lot. And they just would sit there and just like train the web pages and then figure out some programming and probably, I'm guessing, VB script or something to make it work. Anyhow,
Perl.
yeah. I didn't realize there was such a huge market for that.
Web scraping.
Well, I think to your point, like, I actually think it's almost like a base technology. Call it web scraping, or just sort of like robotic, interaction, because like really at the essence, right, what you have is the way we used to use it at Site Angel, like you were talking about, was like we used to monitor websites. Basically, does the website, respond and things like that. So monitoring, one way to do it. And then a lot of people have now expressed that or changed that. And that's kind of what I think this Novac's at, is sort of like, well, they actually want to have like automation. So like, whatever, go do this. And instead of being able to do it through a script, like a command line script, right, it just runs this automation and does it, right? So that's really popular. And then, Matt, I know security has its own set of ways of using it, but go ahead and maybe you give us a little bit there. But at the base of this is like, it's just the same kind of technology, just repurposed over and over and over again.
Yeah. I mean, there are, the web scraping stuff, it may even be the same technology fast forward 25 years. I mean, when did Selenium come out, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's been
a lot of this
right?
is
For testing, right? For like load
yeah.
testing and stuff like that. So
yeah,
well, it makes me wonder for all of us. It's like, it's like how you like work in a domain for a while, and then something happens in your life, like company gets acquired, you decide to do something else. But there are, like, I think we all know people. It's like, we could have all just stayed doing web monitoring for 25 years.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean? Like, there are just so many companies. They've like, we could list millions of them have like come and gone, right? Some are still around. Amazon's still building it. I know Wiz has some stuff there, and it's like, I don't know, Matt, should we have all just stayed in web monitoring and just been like, we're never leaving this. We're just going to keep doing it over and over again.
I mean, maybe if I'd stayed a developer, I'd be like, developer emeritus or something, and I'd be like, back in my day. But back in my day is today, because it's like, it actually hasn't changed all that much. I mean, REST came along the scene, and GraphQL and all this fun stuff, and it's it's not that exciting. I mean, you mentioned like my employer Wiz, like they had a thing that would go and we validate there's some service running, and then we would go and verify that it can be reached externally, grab a screenshot, right? And that was like, hey, I thought that was pretty cool. And then this week we announced, if there's a remote exploit, we'll test that. And it's like, that was happening to us in 2000. People were testing us,
and maybe
for
we could
remote
even
exploits.
say monitoring
we
it
weren't paying for it.
as a generalized, we'd all still be doing, I know it's now observability, but whatever, monitoring. Like, and it's like, you could have been doing that for 25 years. And like many people have done it. And it's just like, I don't know, maybe it's like the other thing is like, I'm just going to be an expert in this one area. And I'm just going to go either work at one company. Or I'm just going to keep, if you will, I'm going to own this niche, and I'm just going to keep moving around and keep doing this niche. Cause like I'm sure right now this has been announced. Somebody is building this right now from scratch somewhere else. Oh. Right. And it's like, so you just got to find it. Sure. You're like, yep, I've done this now 25 years. Like I could totally do it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. It is, of course, in these kind of situations, the grass is always a different color on the other side of your situation. And like it does, there is some daydreaming comfort I've had over the years of like, wouldn't it be nice if my professional life was kind of like Severance style, where I just sort of like walk into the office, sit down, and like move something around on the computer a lot, and then I go home, right? And like, when I'm sure when I was learning programming and doing it, it didn't exactly feel like that. But now it seems like, I have kind of like every now and then a wistful thing of like, I would just go in and look at the boxes and arrows on the whiteboard, or I would know how to use Git probably, and I would look at Jira, and I would just be like, I'm going to work on this bug.
Another day in the coal mine.
Yeah,
I want to invite the listeners, especially those in Slack, who has worked on kind of the same application and or technology for the longest. So if you believe you're an entry, I don't know, I think probably 10 years is like at least the beginning. It's like probably the good over under. If you got more than 10 years, you're probably in the running. And it's like, who's just been like, I don't know. It's like, I've been working on this Linux kernel X extension for 25 years or whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but like I invite it. So post it in the Slack if you want it, and we'll,
who's got the longest tenure doing the same thing?
Yeah. I'd be kind of curious. And like, what is it? Like, and maybe it's some like really arcane technology, or maybe it's just like, I don't know, web scraping. It would be interesting.
And you don't have to say whether or not you enjoy it.
Yeah. No judgment. It'd just be more like, somebody's been doing this for 25 years. I like
it. So this is related to my other reaction to looking through the AWS stuff. I'm going to call it a two-part reaction. One is like, oftentimes when we talk about reInvent, or really any episode, I haven't really done much reading. But this time I did have some spare time. I did a little bit of reading, and it made me think these two things. One, like I could spend the rest of my life figuring out what all this stuff is and experimenting with it and playing with it, because it's just like, it's true to I think the I don't know, the meaning of life for AWS, which is we are a toolbox to do whatever the fuck you want, right? Like whatever it is you want, we got it. And if we don't have it, tune in next time, right? And they just always have the stuff. So in that way, it's kind of like going into like, I don't know, the tool section at a hardware store and just thinking like, wow, if only I had a use for all of this stuff. Like, I don't even know what these are, but it seems like it would be fun to use them. Or maybe more closer to everyone's home, it's like these 5 drawers of wires that I have, and there's so much potential. If only the devices existed that needed these wires. But so that's kind of an interesting feeling, and it's back to that thing of like, if I had stuck with development for a while, maybe I would have the wherewithal to like know what all these things are and like kind of evaluate using them. I'd be like, sure, I'm going to go into my AWS console and deploy my Mocha Maker and my Sage whatnot and do this, all these things, and like try it out. And, maybe that would be fun. It would be enjoyable. Now, my second reaction was like, you read through all the stuff that they're doing, and especially in the AI space, and it makes me realize, like, even though I've like coded this stuff and I use it all the time, I have such a small view of all the stuff in the AI world, because they just got a lot of stuff, and I look at it and I think, well, what would you even do with this? Like, what? I don't quite understand that. So It is. There's so much stuff there, and so it's both sort of humbling and daunting, but also a little bit interesting. Like, oh, I'll never have this time because I do other stuff with my spare time. But like, it'd kind of be cool to go in there and like, I don't know, train my own model, maybe. I don't even know what that means.
The Nova Act though, because you posted the link and it's in the show notes so everyone can see it. But like the thing that jumped out at me as I was like reading through it, and it did remind me of some stuff we did. But there are 15 screenshots of configuration. Okay. I mean, I'm just like looking at the blog post, no shade or anything. I assume, and it's the classic AWS console, like, do this. And it has like, creates all these like, long names of like agents and stuff. And it's just like just to like master this one service would take a while, I think, to like go through and know which not only which every screen does, but every option on every screen. Right.
Oh, yes.
And like this, like to me, and I guess we'll get into the AWS stuff, but it's sort of like revealing of like, this is AWS. You know what I mean? Like, it is to your point. Like maybe your hardware stores, it's like the ultimate Home Depot where it's like, I like, there's so many tools and so many parts and so many things in there. It's like, you can't even do it. Like, unless it's a full-time job. Like you're building houses every day and you're learning how to do, it's like impossible. And so,
right.
And maybe, I don't know if
it's more than impossible. That's
what I'm saying. But I guess it just like, and I guess this is sort of like the vibe of AWS. So we can kind of get into the details, but it's sort of like on one hand, like they're always talking about like the automation and like, here's what you can do and agents. And we'll talk about it more in a second. But on the other hand, it's like when you log in and do this, it's like, this is like these screens are very complicated. And we're talking about this is just one service, right? I mean, I think just simply setting up a website, provisioning the compute, setting up the storage, making sure your IAM preferences, like it is very complicated. And I think it's just like, I don't know, it just always kind of leaves me with like, yeah, I mean, it is your point, Cote, hardware store and you can do anything. But at the same time, like, it isn't like I just pick Cursor or something like that. It isn't like, oh, let me just download and try this out. Like, it's almost like when I look at this Nova thing, I'm like, oof, I don't know. I don't know when I'm going to have time to like really do this.
It's like when you go in the hardware store and you're like walking down the aisle and you're like, I don't go down that aisle, go down that aisle, I don't go down that aisle. And you're like, I'm just going to go in what the hell is all this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're seeing things that you've been a part of the store, and you're like, why am I here?
Yeah, I know, Matt. I know you're breaking up a little bit, but just to restate it, it's just sort of like, yeah, to your point, it's like hardware store is like really big, and like, how would you ever do all these things? So I don't know. What's your take on like, as it's like, I guess you kind of revealed it, but like, do you feel like there's like a certain like business strategy kind of like revelation inside of like this AWS like like kind of like the sheer size is intimidating to the point of like, is it actually potentially like almost putting some people off?
Maybe it also, I'm wildly speculating here, but it sort of matches if you wanted to remove the middle of the IT buying process and sell directly to the people who were like needed it and used it, right? And so like if you have something like this, you're really orienting it around the people who are going to actually program it and use it. Like they know all those. Well, if they don't know, they would understand and they're willing to put up with understanding all those little settings. And you're worried about that one group of people using it, not really like the kind of thing you would have in a more enterprise approach to this, where you're worried about a unified portfolio of things that seems to fit together and is to use it's comprehensible, and it's also, to use a weird term, like legible. Like the business can understand it and like measure it and like know if it's worthwhile. Like I would imagine, and there's probably over the how many decades has it been? At least one. There are probably tools that AWS has that lets you do this, but early on, it's probably difficult to just assess like, what am I paying for? Well, Matt has this background, and like, how would I figure out if I am paying too much or too little across every single thing I do? Like, and in that respect, like, I think maybe it's not so much the strategy, but I think the design approach, as someone who's really never used AWS stuff, so I'm just madly speculating here, is really like we don't design for the enterprise. We design for the team using this thing. And therefore, like, it just kind of fits to whatever they want. And now, ironic, the other thing is when I was looking through it, I was realizing like they're pretty straitjacketed in like their branding. Like I have to imagine like if
Are they?
if you work like in branding and font choice at Amazon, your life must be so boring because it's basically like it's like very not anything interesting.
All right. All right.
Like,
Well, get branding to explain one thing to me. When does the service start with Amazon, and when does it start with AWS?
Right. Well, yeah. It's just
I just need to know.
They have that look of like the Amazon.com site, and it's really I don't know.
Yeah. Service
But I will say this though, but kind of getting into the actual keynote, it was a little bit of a changing of the guard. So things that jumped out of the Meta keynote comments, for one, it was only 1 hour. That was so shocking to me. I was like locked in for one of those 2.5 hours. Matt Garman, did the whole thing with a couple interludes of customer, presentations. And for the most part, all of the actual, like, if you will, primitives, like core AWS announcements, they didn't do any of them. In fact, they kind of did this thing at the end. It was like a top 10, I think it was either that top 10 or top 25 announcements in like 10 minutes, where he went through compute, storage, network, and just flew through them. So it was like, if you're interested in waiting in like, does AWS have like a new chip, that they threw that up, or if you're worried about does S3 have like higher storage per object. So like he just was going, he went through the entire thing in 10 minutes. So almost the entirety of the entire keynote was all built around the agents, right? And it was all about software development agents. It was about, if you will, security agents, DevOps agents. They introduced this thing called Kiro, the spec-driven development, the idea that, that's sort of their idea. So it was like it was just kind of like a complete, shift where all the stuff that makes all the money. And of course, like, I guess it was 25 AWS launches in 10 minutes to be technically correct there. So all of that was at the very, very end. And I'm sure they have like numerous sessions on it. So I don't know. I thought that was like it was really just a real change where they almost kind of admit to themselves, like, this isn't that interesting to a broad audience, right?
It's the guy in the hardware store. You're like, hey, where is this? And he's like, plumbing, roofing, electrical.
I mean, it kind of felt like that. It was just like, oh, Intel processors, that's on compute. And then, how they always name them with like the different, like you have to, if you know the name or how to read it. So I don't know, Matt, like what was your, like, I don't know, what was your reaction? Did you have the same kind of feeling that I did, or like what was going on?
I mean, this is, very few people, this is their first reInvent, and probably there were people who were grateful it was only an hour, right? Because I mean, I'm sure people are excited about, what is the new EC2 X8 AEDZ instances powered by 5th generation EPYC processors. I mean, what more time do they need than that, right? Because there was an interview with Werner Vogels over on the News Stack, and he's like, we have 1,600 types of EC2 instances. And I was like, no. I mean, yes, they do, but nobody needs that. And so they're probably giving the right amount of time for these things at this point, right? I mean, we can if reading through the notes, I did not watch the whole thing, but reading through the notes and stuff, it's like, I would have liked a little more time on the Kiro stuff, but I've read about it, right? And I would have liked more stuff about the DevOps agent, but that's just me. Sounds like a good balance, because, if I find myself in need of roofing, I'll go to the roofing aisle and I'll read all the blogs, right?
All right. I guess my critique here though is this. It's like, okay, I kind of agree. Like, okay, put all the stuff at the end, do it in 10 minutes. Okay. But if you're going to spend the time with the agents, like and I kind of rarely say this, but I actually think you needed like a couple demos, because it was just like Kiro.
Oh yeah.
Cairo.
Yeah.
What am I saying? I don't got to learn how to say it first. It was just like, it saves you all this. It said, so the number was it saves, the original estimate was for the case, there was 30 developers in 18 months was the original estimates. And they came out and said that whatever they were doing, 6 developers did it in 76 days. And so of course you hear that, you're like, great. But I'm like, what did they do? And then they had slides where they just said stuff like, Well, they used AI, and then they needed to learn to give it more responsibility and turn on more autonomous things. And when
You
they
know what
did
they did?
that,
Amazon Pet Store.
right, and then they were like, "We got to do it faster." And there's like, and I'm not even debating it happened. I'm just sort of like, I was just kind of left with like, okay, like what now? Like, I guess the thing is, I'll have to go use it myself to our earlier conversation, but then I'm like, oh no, this is going to be a whole, when am I going to have time to like really go into this? Right. It doesn't feel like just download Cursor, start playing with it. It's like, this feels like it takes some effort. So I don't know. I just kind of was like, what, like it left me a little bit like you're just like, there's the jargon, even for us who follow this, the jargon was strong, like so much. I was just like what exactly does it do? Like even at the end, I was like, now what does it actually do? I don't know.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, Brandon. Is it like doing your agentic AI framework stuff? Is that why it's agents, or is this somewhere there was like they don't use Cursor, they use some other thing for their own programming, right? Is it what that thing is? Like what is this?
Well, they say they have these like frontier agents, right? Which are basically operate autonomously. Now, this is the part like I don't know. I really don't know. But the idea is that like you write a spec in like the format, basically a set of requirements, call it whatever you want, a spec, and then from that you are essentially assigning agents to do that work. And then one of the learnings was that, okay, they even kind of said, they showed the team's productivity. At first, they said the team was only giving it small tasks and was babysitting it. And they weren't really making much productivity gains. And he even kind of said, like, that's how most people feel today with AI. They don't see the productivity. So then he kind of said, but they kind of turned to this goal-driven development. Again, not really defined, but like kind of implicit is like, okay, instead of like, if you will, metaphorically it would be like, okay, like parse this string and have it write code for a thing, is you just give it the goal. Like, okay, like I need you to build a pet store, whatever the goal is you want. And they said, and kind of indicated that by giving it like these broader goals and then giving agents more autonomy to like go further, like to not check in, to do more, that the team, that's where this massive savings came from. Right. But of course, like as he's just going through this, like I have so many questions. I'm just like, but like, okay, well, how do you know it's doing the right thing? And like, Matt, you brought this up a point a million times. It's like, how does the person like who has to support it? Like, are they checking this? Are they doing pull requests? Are they just letting it go and let it do everything on its own? Like that was the part of like the fuzzy middle. I just like was kind of left with like, not confused, but just wondering what the details were.
So there's basically this part of all of it was like, here is our understanding of how you should do software development with AI stuff, right? And the way that we've done, I mean, you just described it, so I won't re-describe it, but it's like that's the position of how software development should be done, basically.
Yeah, and I guess and I don't know. I mean, Matt, you're maybe closest to it. It's like someone was just, I kind of said this on the podcast many times. It's like, I don't know, the agent thing, I've just not had the experience of where like I've interacted with an agent and it like done something and I've been like, this is great. This is what I want. Now I've had many experiences where like working with the chatbot has always surprised me. Like the interactive chatbot, like it's shown me interesting things. I've learned stuff. It has given me ideas. It's helped me fix problems. So like there, I've actually had the aha moment. And actually over the Thanksgiving break, I actually showed some of this stuff to like my in-laws who are really not familiar with any of this. And like, they're kind of like, I was just showing them like, okay, let's just talk to ChatGPT. And they were just like, whoa, this is incredible. Right. And so like, I was watching them kind of have the aha moment. Like, this is pretty cool. Right. But like, I don't know, like maybe this is kind of almost what I left the AWS thing is like, I don't know. I have not interacted with an agent where like, it just did a whole bunch of stuff. And I was like really blown away. Like I have with like ChatGPT, and maybe that's my fault, but I'm sort of like kind of lost as to like what to do. Because just to finish that off, is just like, because if you watch this keynote, it's like Garmin is sort of representing that like all the people in AWS have had this moment and they're all doing this agent-based kind of development. Thoughts, Matt?
I mean, it's the jump between being an individual developer and having a development team. And when you're an individual developer, you're like, oh, how am I going to do this? I'm going to use this. And then, you bring on your AI assistant and it's like, oh, you should, you should patch it this way, and you should write it that way. And you're like, oh yeah, you're helping me move faster. But when you manage like an engineering team, you're like, I've got this idea, and this is what I think it should look like. Can you go off and do that? And then when they come back, you're like, hey, that's cool. I feel more empowered because now instead of me being one guy with 5 ideas, I've got 5 people
you have
implementing
leverage.
my
You've
ideas.
got people
And
hitting
so
on your ideas, right?
a lot of developers, they haven't made that jump, but working with junior people or a team, you do start to be like, let me give you tasks, let me give you bigger and bigger chunks, and you go off and take care of it. And so that does kind of become the level up is we don't have junior developers anymore. We have junior PMs, and they're going to that's the transition here is stop thinking like you get to develop.
All right, so let's pause there because I think it's a very good description of it. So like maybe Cote, it's like, okay, have you experienced this where it's like, yeah, just what Matt said, it's like I now have leverage because I'm using these agents just like I am a first-time manager getting the leverage out of a team of employees. Like, have you actually either done it or seen it up close to the point of like, you're like, yeah, I'm really amazed by that.
I mean, I've used Claude Code and Codex. Does that count as using agents?
I would say that's the only thing I've done close to it. And I thought it was interesting. It was good, but it didn't I had to really babysit it because it just sort of was, if I didn't, it was just not doing stuff. So I haven't had that experience with Claude Code where I think
I definitely, whatever it is I'm doing has strong, you're doing it wrong vibes around it. In the sense of like, I like the experience of having like Chat GPT up and like, it has that little thing where it can like look at your terminal or your IDE. And I find that really successful and good, right? Where I'm just like, I ask it things and this, insert stuff
very
here
tangible,
and do that.
You get it. Like you're having the aha moments. Yes.
Whereas like when I'm using like Claude Code and Codex, I sort of like, I feel like a too it feels like I have imposter syndrome as a product manager. Like I go in and I like tell it and I'm very uncertain and I know it's going to suck and it's my fault. And I tell it like what I want to do and it just like doesn't quite get it right. Now, I'm not using like, a 5-agent framework running on AWS Pachinko or Kino or whatever it is, right? So
Kino.
That might be the first problem is like I need to use a more powerful thing. And I think there's 2 other problems at least. I mean, the original problem might be that it's just a bunch of bullshit and it doesn't work that way. But let's glide past that because we love technology. But I think the second problem is, and this has been gone over ad nausea, is like I don't really know how to write the spec properly. Like there's the like the BMAD process and all these things, and so like I could plan things out and schedule it. I probably need to go read that Gene Kim book, and then I'd be great at it about vibe coding or something. So there's like I have spent a lot. I'm sure we all have. I've spent a lot of time figuring out how to work with a chat thing, right? Like I know how to do that. And no problem there. But when it comes to like Claude Code and Codex, like I don't think I even have like a Claude.md file, which I think I'm supposed to have.
Right.
Telling it things. So, I'm just doing stuff wrong out of the gate. Now, the third thing is I was looking at some of my colleagues, let's call it field code, code that like SEs and other people have made outside of the product. And they have like, lots of people, I'm sure every SE out there has implemented a web-based chat application, right, to show off their AI stuff. And I always think like I'd like to do that, but I don't have the time to do that, and I don't know UI frameworks anymore. And then I suddenly had this epiphany that like neither do they. They just had some AI write this stuff for them, right? And so like what that got me thinking, also based on what you're saying, Matt, is like maybe I'm still trying to program too much. And the problem is I need to just, anytime I'm programming, I need to stop doing that and go write a Claude.mdb
go write requirements. Right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
so maybe this productivity jump is like, until you stop coding or writing whatever, and instead you're just talking with this pool of agents producing things, you're not going to achieve this productivity thing that people are wondering about.
Well, that's
Maybe.
definitely the tape. I mean, the way that they were saying that in the keynote was like, that's goal, that at least I took from it, goal driven development, where it's just like, it's kind of the cliche, like, I'm the business owner, I'm just going to outline what the business needs. Right. So like, that's another way of saying the same thing. It's like, okay, if you're not just specifying, I mean, this is one way to approach it. And this is, I guess, something I'm going to try. It's like, all you should be doing is specifying the goals of the thing that you want to be done. Right.
Yeah.
And then you should be delegating everything about that to some agent or set of agents and allowing them to reach that goal as autonomously as humanly possible. Right. Obviously, there's something. So
that sounds like so much fun to every developer.
This is like the enterprise salesperson's dream.
Beyond fun, it's just like, can you even get your head around? This is what I guess I took away from it, is like, can I even get my head around actually doing that, and not feeling that I'm frustrated.
I think that's the barrier. It's hard to it's hard to think like, okay, I'm not going to program anymore, especially like in my case where a lot of the point of doing this is I want to relearn how to program, right? Like, and it's enjoyable, but it also sounds like what you just described is like the enterprise salesperson's dream. It's like, whoa, let's not talk speeds and feeds. Let's talk business outcomes. Right? Like, what is it you want to achieve? It doesn't so much matter if you're using this container orchestrator or this one or this UI layer or that one. Let's talk about your outcomes. And then also, depending on like which agent fleet you're using, I guess you could probably tell that agent fleet like what technologies to do and how to implement it. But I would assume they sort of just make the choice on their own, right? Like they just kind of do things that they want. So on the one hand, it might be great because like probably a lot of the crud and the slowness in enterprise IT is because people were making too many choices and they should have just not been involved and they should have done like a more standard thing. But it could also be like crazy because like you're sort of like locking yourself into like someone else making these decisions.
Right. Well, I think what you kind of hit on is almost the ethos of this keynote was that's essentially what Garmin was doing. It's sort of like speeds and feeds, very end, like top 20, only 10 minutes. The rest of it was sort of like, hey, use these agents to drive, goals that you have or business outcomes that you have. And that's really the way you should be thinking about it, right? I mean, that was the pitch. And they even had a little video at the end of like a team that's sort of kind of like launching some service, and they kind of show them do it the old way, and they launch and they have all these problems, all these outages, and they show it with agents, and they just kind of show it like it all running smoothly. And this group of developers or product team is like super calm, and they're like working on like the next set of like business goals, right? And then they kind of show like the agents closing all the tickets, like and doing all the pen testing, and like
I want to believe,
and like I agree, like you want, like I agree, like you watch it, you're like, I want to believe, and I was like, this is kind of where I was. I was like, am I just like, is my own personal experience to sort of like kind of like keeping me from really kind of embracing this idea, or is this just a little too good to be true?
The part that scares me is thinking of all the edge cases that get dealt with in operations and development, and how people are glossing over them, papering over them, saying, "Oh yeah, it took care of everything." And I'm just thinking of like, did it take care of XYZ? Is this port open? Is this service running? Is this there's just so many little details, and I'm like, if you didn't write it, it's going to be hard to support. And because not everybody knows, but everybody who's a developer knows, like writing the code is less than 20% of the work, right? Deploying it is less than 20%. It's that long life. It's fixing all the bugs. It's responding to all the support tickets. It's dealing with, all the performance issues. It's all the things that come after it's up and running that are the real life of software. And, if you didn't write it in the first place, and if you get in there and you're like, what is this madness? That could lead to a really bad day. And,
so maybe, I think, but when you say that, there's only kind of two ways to take that. It's like either one, that's very pragmatic advice from a very experienced person pointing out all the things we should be wrong with.
Or
two
Or
is
you're
like
crazy,
you
Matt.
are an old person and you do not get it, and it's like you're like I need my cable TV box from Time Warner with number, and it's like because that's what I'm literally watching the keynote. And I'm thinking like, which person am I? Like I want to believe
I'm both,
but
right?
Well, and I guess the other thing, back to the Nova Act and really any of these services, I guess the follow-up question I have is like, okay, they've gone through this whole thing and be like, well then like, okay, so do you, of the 200 Amazon services that are out there, like, are they all being done with like, cause they said they standardized on the tool. I'm like on Kira, their development tool and agent. So I'm like, okay, like, are all of these services mostly being developed by agents now? And the same thing about the Nova Act, what you're saying before, it's like I already said before, there's 15 screens of configuration. Like, a business outcome would just be like, I need to know that this website is up with the correct content. Okay, go do that.
Right,
I don't
right.
care. Like,
Yeah,
and because it's like they don't like. That's not the message when you get inside the console. The console is asking you all these questions and all these configurations, right? It isn't. So that's the other part. Like, I'm just like, are you really doing this? Because I mean, Amazon has numerous teams they should be doing this with, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that does. They should, and they did this. That's what we've been going over. They use themselves as a reference, but they should be probably their best customer reference, because it would be great if they were like, oh, and remember last week when there was Black Friday, like 60% of all traffic went through a system we built with this or whatever, right? Like, and you know, this, because everyone knows Amazon UIs and how their business works. I mean, they know how, from a consumer perspective. I order a thing, it travels through time and space. Now I have the thing, right? Like,
yeah.
And that would be interesting to see. Like, all right, let's show us the parts of your business on that gigantic slide. I assume they have that's like 316 by 1619 things, and like just walk through and point like this part uses it, this part uses it, this part runs on the code. And that would be, I mean, that would be.
Or as I said before, like
step.
many times, I said before, like, I think we talked about Nginx last week and it's being deprecated. It's like, okay, well, like, why doesn't AWS just step up and be like, because they said they were giving away like 100 seats of the tool. It'd be like, okay, we're giving away X amount of resources for Nginx. Okay. And that's going to be how all the future development is done on this, because people like it. And like, okay, let's, like, Matt, I saw you grimace, but it's like, okay, but that's like that's the moment. Like, okay, like there's like almost like there's just an agent watching the GitHub.
Oh yeah,
I like
this. Because I think on the AI and cloud wrap up, I think Brian established Cote's Google fallacy, which is that they have infinite money. I still need to be disproved about that. I think they might have infinite money, and therefore they can't just pay the open source people to do things. But I like where you're going, Brandon. The next time some open source people say they have to quit because they're not being paid, this is a classic.
You don't see it. Yeah.
A classic, like, powerful person move is to be like, I'm not going to give you money, but how about I give you some agents, right? Like that was nice for you, but now why don't we just have a bunch of agents maintain Nginx and see how that goes?
And maybe this is the problem that I was just describing. It's like, where are those projects in that life cycle? They're not in the 20% up front, and a lot of business apps are, they don't get that far past that 20%. They work and they don't have edge cases because they had a small job to do, and they did it. They're batch processing and the job never changes for 5 years, and they just often do that. Like, that's great. There is development like that. But if you're looking at things in the CNCF, they're releasing all the time. They're flooded by bug reports. They've got all sorts of weird edge conditions. So we don't see AI in that space. We see developers dealing with all these weird edge cases.
That you should be able to do. They call this a natural experiment, because in the open source world, by definition, things are in the open. Maybe not like the conversations people have with each other, unless it's like an email list and stuff like that. And some whatever, I could go on, but maybe over the course of a year, someone needs to fund every time there's a bug. Let's have some AI fix it and compare it to how the human fixes it on both. I don't know exactly the criteria you would
Just
have.
fork the project and
Right,
you
right.
know,
And
check back in a year. Which one was done with AI and which one was done with
and
humans?
it's like a variation of a Turing test where maybe, I mean, you do multiple things. Number one criteria, it needs to work. So that's always good, right? And another criteria might be like, does this break over the course of a year at all, or more or less frequently than the alternative? And then you might even have another criteria where like, okay, so whoever it is that accepts, like, you know, merges it into like the code and makes it part of it, present them with both of these and see if they can tell the difference or which one they pick. I mean, even telling the difference is irrelevant. It's like, well, which one did they pick to be the one that goes into the project?
I like that, but I want to go further. I just go back to like, you go to the Nginx person and like, okay, I just ask them, how much time a week can you spend 1 hour a week on this or whatever, right? And be like, okay, say it's 1 hour a week. It's like, okay, I'm going to give you all these agent resources to like maintain the project, and I want you to do it. We're going to do it for like a year, right? And the most you can spend on it is 1 hour a week. And let's see, like, and then report back. Like this would be the most watched CNCF presentation of all time, right? If they just literally said like, we're giving this person, and like one of the cloud platforms, like, we're going to give this person all the agents they need. They're only going to spend 1 hour a week doing this. And that's how they're going to maintain this project. And we're going to see how it goes. And then a year goes by, they're going to get up on stage and they're going to tell us like, it worked, it didn't work. You know, I had to spend a lot more time. And it would be like, I think it would be fascinating. Or someone can come out and be like, you could not do it on this project because of these reasons. And we learned that these kinds of projects are not good for it. And that would be incredibly talented. I mean, I think this is the kind of information the industry needs. Like, I would love to see that.
I maintain if it was working, it would have already happened in open source somewhere. You know, Google, Microsoft, to some extent, Amazon. They are involved in open source projects. They are doing stuff in open source, and you're not seeing it. You're not.
I feel like, Matt, like you're coining like the Fermi paradox of like software agents or something. Like the fact that there are no aliens on Earth means there probably are no aliens. It's kind of the fact that there are no open source projects actively taking over the world through agents maybe means that the agents don't work. I mean, there's something there, Matt. You need to coin that quickly.
Oh my gosh,
I think you're
paradox
right.
of agentic development. I mean, prove me wrong. I mean, you don't see. You know, you're right. Nobody stepped up and said like, oh, you know, we're going to replace this Nginx controller. We've got this new, you know, Nova project. We'll call it Nova X, and that'll solve this. You're not seeing it.
I think part of that is it feels like the people who hate AI the most are the ones who probably are the gatekeepers for the open source world. they seem to like really not like AI stuff.
All right, but before we run out of time, I just want to quick, because I think this is a good segue. You know, OpenAI this week declared a code red because they're worried that ChatGPT is falling behind Google Gemini. And they say in the memo that they're reallocating resources to, like, I don't know, make ChatGPT better. So I have many thoughts on this. But the first question I ask is like, here are the people that have most popularized AI and, you know, building all these agents. And it's like, well, like, what are they doing? Do they have like 10,000 agents like working on ChatGPT enhancements? And
it's like AI
they're declaring a code red.
AI is going to dig this hole faster.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. And then it's just like, and you declare a code red, you know, indicating like some unknown problem has been identified. We must do it. So like, what do? Do they just, because they talk about reallocating people off other teams to work on this, but I'm like, do they just like spin up another 20,000 agents to be like, fix everything, you know? And it's like, I mean, some of that's facetious, but it's like, you know, if it was doing this, you'd feel that, right? You'd feel like this seems like the company that would be doing that, right? Like,
right.
I mean, I don't know, Matt.
What
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask about this is like, I mean, I use whatever. I don't need to do my bona fides of using AI things, but like, I think things are fine. Like, I don't really know. I mean, sure, like Google gets all these users, but like, as on its own, it seems great. Like the only complaint I have about ChatGPT is I like Claude's skills, and Claude like shows stuff to you more.
But that's the problem.
They could do. Right. And
their 500 trillion valuation depends on there being no alternatives.
Yeah. And so maybe in that sense, maybe what clunks in my head is the code red isn't that you're doing poorly, it's that your competitors are doing well.
Okay, my first question though, like I have to, I mean, I can't let it go without, I'm bringing this up. It's like, to me, a code red would be like an unexpected, unforeseen event happening where we have to we have to stop everything and go fix it, right? Now, I don't believe your largest competitor doing the most obvious thing that everyone has predicted they would be doing by releasing a good model and a good chat experience that is very comparable to what you've been doing. Like, by definition, that cannot be an emergency. Like, this has been the only, like, everybody from Ben Thompson to CNBC to like this podcast has been saying, well, it feels like this isn't going to be that differentiated. And Google has, to use your line, Cote, Google has infinite money, and they seem to be willing to spend infinite money on that. So it's like, so I just kind of come back to like this memo, this idea. It's like how can you be surprised by this? This was like the only thing people. So like if you weren't doing it last week, it's like, I don't know. It feels like you weren't really running your business very well, because this is the most obvious thing that could have happened.
I mean, this comes back to the conversation we had last year about like Windsurf's $10 billion valuation. I was like, yeah, that's assuming no competition shows up, and and we know that happened.
Yeah, maybe this is the equivalent of like when you're in like a crazy, irrational system of a tornado, to borrow a term, a tornado of innovation that we're seeing in like the AI space. Like, it's just like batshit crazy world, and so maybe there's a combination of things you have to do to survive, right? To use one of your favorite things, Brandon. Valuation equals revenue. I think you said plus story last time I heard, but I think it's time story, right?
Okay.
Or
either way,
it's got to be. Maybe even exponential.
Maybe that's the difference between crazy bubble time and normal time. Is when it's normal time, it's revenue plus story, and when it's bubble time, it's revenue time story.
For sure. Yes.
And so when you're operating in a revenue time story thing, you just have to like fling a bunch of stuff out there, and you almost have to do the equivalent of like just looking busy at work. Right.
Well, that's what I was getting at. I think you hit on. I think this is just performative management, right? It's just like Google had a big thing come out. So what do? Like, I mean, you're probably doing all the same things, but you just send a memo, you say it's code red, you get some people to write it up, because it's just trying to change the narrative. The narrative is like, oh, Gemini was good, but like, you're not going to believe it. ChatGPT, that team's working 10 times harder. Of course they're not working 10 times harder. I think they were already working as hard as they could last week. I mean, there isn't there's nothing happens over the weekend, right? It's just like the same people are working on the same thing.
Everything happens. Did you hear about, what is it, 14 by 6 or whatever?
Yeah,
sorry,
Matt, you're breaking up there, but I
996.
think you're talking 996, right? So, but that's the whole thing. So I guess it's just like, to me, this whole thing is just like, I don't know. I guess it's a PR narrative kind of. Because to me, otherwise it's just ineffective management. It's just I mean, what could possibly be changing?
Right, like you and Brian covered this a lot in the last fantastic episode, to refer to the third or fourth time. But I think it's making me think that maybe the next year of the AI business is just between, I'm going to say there's probably, we could be generous and throw Amazon in there. There's 5 major AI, at least Western AI companies. I guess there's Mistral. I don't really know what they do. But it seems like the AWS is not in this business, and Microsoft kind of, sort of not. I guess there's whatever. There's basically just this game of chicken they're all playing about who's going to be the first to get ads in there. Because whoever the first is, as y'all were saying, to get ads, it's going to be terrible, right? Just because that's the way innovation happens. It's, to put it another way, it's not going to be as great as it will be one day, right?
Like the worst it's ever been is the day it was released.
But then so the first company that does this is taking on a huge risk, right? Because they'll be the ones that like don't do it right. It might drive other people to the other services. But then once they kind of do it, over the next few months, the other companies it'll become normal and they'll be able to do it. And so there's a rumor that Anthropic is going to IPO or whatever based on, I don't know, someone looking at LinkedIn positions or the usual kind of nonsense.
Hiring lawyers, but yes.
Yeah, or whatever it is. And so that, once you IPO, it's like, the guy Dan Aykroyd says in Ghostbusters, like they expect results. And so like at that point, like then you're under pressure to actually like do something. It's not just busy work. Like what's the business here? And so maybe Anthropic, if they IPO first, will be the first to put ads in, which would be great for OpenAI because then they can kind of observe what's happening. And
I thought they were enterprise focused though.
Yeah, who knows? But
enterprises need ads too.
I mean, the whole point being that like I think yeah, it's just like they're gonna have ads. That's the only way you run this kind of business. Otherwise, you're only a Cisco or a Salesforce, right? But if you want to like be a huge giant business like this, you have ads.
And maybe that's the way to kind of leave it with it. The code red is just like, okay, Sam, are you actually going to allow people to put ads in the system so we can get on with this and see what's going to be worked? Or is this just another like ploy to like, hold off putting any type of ad business in for another year and just whatever, keep making up, like Sora. Remember Sora? Like I know Matt didn't, but like used it for a few days. I know I didn't really put you in that kind, but Matt, we used it for a few days and then you forget about it. Like Sora's not going to make any money. It's not going to do, It's like you could have spent that time building ads, right? And for all I know, maybe an AI agent came up with the idea of Sora and built it all, right? And it was just like,
that would be amazing. Yeah,
maybe that's what happened.
Well, you know what an AI agent should take care of and do all the work for is bureaucracy. People like that. But do we have any bureaucracy that we haven't thrown into a fleet, an agent mesh?
Yeah, we're still. I'm still manually processing bureaucracy, so don't worry. No agents. Yeah. So okay, we did have a little feedback from silverware. Okay, so Chris believes that all silverware should be sorted in the basket before washing. AKA, he calls this an insertion and sort. So like, obviously spoons in one little area and then, like one little cubby, forks in another. And so he basically said, if you didn't do this, you were wrong. So I was going to tell Chris, it's like, I never do this. I guess I'm a random, like, I optimize. Well, I guess it's like seek time versus read time. It's like, I just throw any space that is open. Yeah.
Insertion time.
Yeah. Insertion time. Any space that is open is thrown in. And then I guess when I have to actually read it out and then put it back in the correct place in the drawer.
Maybe he's onto something.
That's where I'm penalized that. So I'll start with you, Matt. Do you, if you will, use insertion sort and bundle your utensils in each correct area before washing?
Well, obviously I've overthought this because I'm not optimizing for insertion speed. I'm optimizing for randomness, the assumption being that, or actually distribution. I'm doing the opposite of inserting together. I'm trying to spread them out so we get the most area coverage. I'm like, if I have 12 slots and I have 12 things, they'll go into 12 separate holes.
You're optimizing washing experience, not sorting. Interesting.
Yeah.
This is a whole nother business object. So take that, Chris. You're not really a business leader, Chris. You're a developer. Now, Cote, what is this? I need to ask Cote.
Just like databases, there's
need to ask Cote.
Solution. Yeah.
Do you sort your silverware as you load your dishwasher?
Absolutely. And I'm amazed that this wasn't a topic when I ask about it.
You do. So you literally you sort them in each area has.
Yeah. And whether we don't use the basket anymore, as I went over, but when it was basket time, right? Like we would put the forks over here, the spoons there, the whatever there, right? And now that we have the tray on top,
yeah.
Like I try to cluster the same to same. And I don't, there probably is some study you could do, but I feel like, let's see, with laundry, the bottleneck is getting it out, folded, and in the drawers, right? It's easy to stick stuff in a machine and wash it, but the bottleneck is recovering. But I think the bottleneck with washing dishes is getting it into the machine and actually running it, because emptying it is actually not that big of a deal. So maybe I'm doing it incorrectly, but I feel like, when I empty it, I can just grab all the things and put it in there. And so it's fast. But I think I might be locally optimizing, because what I should be optimizing for is loading the dishwasher, not so much emptying it. It's the opposite of laundry.
All right. Well, it's interesting. All right. Well, Chris, there you go. Chris, you have one strong believer on this podcast. Cote actually does it. So yeah. So if you want to, register your opinion, go into the Slack.
I mean, if I could also add, I think it's kind of an aesthetic issue. It just looks nice.
I think that's true. I think there's a little bit.
It does sound nicer.
I didn't want to say this to Chris in the Slack. Was a tiny bit of OCD kind of coming out there, but anyway,
But
that's
the good
okay.
kind. The good kind.
Everybody has their own thing, right? Everything has their own thing. Now, the other thing I was going to mention was I tried to field test digital ID. Okay, so I traveled this week for Thanksgiving. I'll give you my results. So first, going out the Austin airport, I was going to try to do it. The line was long. I asked the guy. He had really no idea what I was talking about. I was feeling that social pressure. Like there's just too much. So I caved. I just used my driver's license. Now on the way back, and I went to Raleigh, home of the Cloudcast. I was up there. And then on the way back, I was very early at the airport. So there was no line. So I walked up, I had my thing ready to go. And I asked the guy, I was like, how can I do it? And he's like, yeah. He's like, you're the first one. He's like, we've never had anyone do it. I was like, okay. And so I was like, all right, where do I put it? And because there's like a place, like almost like a payment thing. So I put it there, it reads it, and it goes to the hourglass. I'm like, sweet, this is going to work. It even like starts to like take my picture. And then it just says, can't do it, failed. And then, so I tried it again, failed. And then he's like, now where are you? He's like, cause then the other TSA guy comes over. He's like, is this guy doing digital ID? I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to do it. Cause like, I guess no one's done it there. So I tried it. They're like, try it down here. And it wasn't working. So then I was just like, it wasn't busy though. So I didn't feel bad. It was like everyone was there. But then it just became almost like a sales call. I was like, well, I work in tech. I just been trying to do this. How's it going? Do you like this software? So it became a whole thing. But then I was like, okay, we need to go. My family was already through and just sort of like,
they're like, leave him behind.
Yeah, they were just like,
he's
this
not
is
with
stupid,
us.
Dad. Like, what are you doing? So I had to fall back. Although that was a system error because I had to fall back to the driver's license, which of course works every time. So I haven't done it. So I don't know. I don't know if that was a Raleigh airport thing. I don't know if that was like a Brandon digital ID. So I'm going to keep trying though. But you do like, so if you're doing it, it's like, make sure to have it's almost like in your iPhone, if you double tap, it'll bring up your credit card. So you're gonna have to switch to your digital ID first. That way, like when you get up there, and I think you just look for the little scan symbol, and I think if it works, it'll work quick, and if it doesn't, you just give them your ID. I want someone to tell me if it works for them.
I think clearly the big trial run for Thanksgiving, and then the big one's coming up. We got the Christmas travel.
That's right.
A little bit of scrambling.
You're gonna be the guy at the front of the line. Scan it. Scan it again.
I was gonna say both of you could do it, but I think you probably have it's gonna be hard for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as you as well know, Brandon, whenever you're entering into the U.S. border, you're just like head down, make no noise, look no one in the eye.
Right. Look at the global entry. Just look at the thing. Walk right to the thing. Say, do not make any jokes. Yes.
Yeah. You pretend like you just don't exist, and you're just air passing through the system, and hope that everything goes okay, and you didn't like forget that you had a sausage in your backpack.
Really, Customs and Border Patrol, not the place to road test your IDs. It's probably not a good idea.
Yeah. It's great when makes the TSA seem friendly. Speaking of friendly things, there's some conferences coming up. We had a bit of a drought. We just talked about reInvent, I guess, but on February 2nd and 4th, there's Configuration Management Camp, where I will not only be speaking. I don't know if they published this, but I also have a live recording of software-defined interviews with John Willis. Maybe I'll get someone else. I don't know, but that'll be fun. I don't know if I think we've done a live recording once or twice, right, Brandon? Over the 30 years we've done this podcast.
We've done a few. Yeah.
So we'll have another one. We'll probably talk about his AI book or who knows stuff. But that's February 2nd and 4th. It's a great conference. I go there every year. And many of the people in our community do. I recommend you go if you can make it to Ghent, Belgium. Lovely place. Also, there's DevOps Days LA and Scale 23X. Their CFP closed on December 1st, so hopefully you got your submissions in. But if you still want to attend, it's a very nice conference center. Pasadena's good. You can walk to a Whole Foods and visit their hot bar if that's one of the American things you miss because you don't live there, just from the convention center. I don't know if you have this experience, Matt Ray, but every time I'm up in London or back in the States, I try to go to Whole Foods for breakfast, and they serve breakfast, but every goddamn one I go to, they haven't put the breakfast out yet. And I think like,
what, you're too early?
Yeah, well, I'll get there at like 7 or 8, and I think like I'm pretty sure the people who frequent Whole Foods get up early because they got to go hike or some shit.
Yeah, they're like. active.
So it seems like Whole Foods should have the breakfast fully ready by 8, but I guess not. I don't know. Anyways, there's a great Whole Foods you can go to if you go to DevOps Days LA and Scale. And if you use the code DevOps, singular, because there's just one of you, you get 50% off. Also, Dev Nexus is coming up March 4th and 6th, big developer conference. We're doing a lot there in Tanzu Land, and I think I have 2, maybe even more talks that I'll be doing. I'll be there, but you should go check that out, Dev Nexus 2026 in Atlanta, March 4th to 6th. Maybe I'll be able to check in with my passport by then. That would be super fun. Well, speaking of things that are super fun, Brandon, what do you have to recommend this episode?
I think I recommended this before, but I'm going to recommend it again. So a great Thanksgiving hack is to not have turkey. It's just to have barbecue. And that's what we did with my in-laws in North Carolina. So I did not get a friend of the show, Brian Gracely. Also, Cote mentioned many times on the show. You can go listen to the Cloud News of the month. I'm on there with him this week. So if you want to hear more about us talking, check that out. But he recommended Damp F Good Barbecue. So I did not have a chance to go to it, but I just take Brian at his word. Right, that would be a great place. I wanted to, but it was closed and didn't make it there. Of course, when you're in North Carolina, that's where you eat the pork. Texas is where you eat the brisket. I had to go over this with my in-laws. We had brisket. They asked me how it was. I thought it was good, and they said I was a hater. I said I'm not a hater. I'm just like, I'm from Texas. So
These are facts.
it's different. It's different. I thought it was very good, but I quite enjoyed the pulled pork more, which is always really good in North Carolina. Of course, make your own decisions, but again, you have free will. You can skip the turkey. The turkey is just never really as good. Just eat the barbecue. That's what I say every year, and I continue to believe that that's the way to go.
I think you excellently deployed what I'm going to call the Lyle Lovett School of Texas Diplomacy. Made famous in his song. That's right. You're not from Texas. It's okay. No judgment.
Yeah, Texas loves you anyway.
That's right. Yeah. Well, also to recommend the episode again. I think at the beginning of that episode, Brandon, you basically uncovered the truth of capitalism, which is the individuals just want to get paid. Like they'll say all this other shit about what's going on and do this, that, and the other. But mysteriously, they also want to make a lot of money, and they tend to. The revealed preference is, big mission statement or make a lot of money. And I don't want to spoil it, but I'll leave it up to the listeners to go listen to that episode and see which of those two choices humans
decide for yourself. Yes.
In a capitalist system. I think working as designed, I think is the way that works. Speaking of working as designed, Matt Ray, what do you have to recommend? He definitely does not recommend Australian internet. I think is never a solid recommendation.
Matt hates the Australian internet, and he's
anti-recommendation. Well,
yeah, I think I can read Matt's recommendation. It's like, what is it called?
Umami papi.
Yeah, it looks like it's a spice of some type. It's like a hot spice that you should put on. If you like chilies, you should check that out. That's Matt Ray's recommendation this week. And of course, he's a vegetarian, so it's probably better on vegetables or something. Would you agree with that, Cote?
Yeah. I just miss spicy flavors and condiments so much that anything will do. We basically got what is it, like Troy's red hot sauce here? That's kind of what we got going.
But Cote, more importantly, what's your recommendation?
Well, my recommendation, speaking of local things, is I've finally done it. I'm slowly, when you want to be immune to poison, you slowly poison yourself. I think that's the science I took away from The Princess Bride. I don't know if it's true, but I want to recommend these little. They used to call themselves like lozenges, but I think they're just candy. They're called Anta candy that you have in the Netherlands here. And they're kind of slightly mentholated, and they have that slight, how do you say it, salmaki, or as Americans would say, a licorice taste to them. And I think they are pretty fantastic. I need to start monitoring how many of these I eat a day, but I really like them. I noticed in the Holland expat shop, there's an online shop for Dutch expat people so they can order Dutch food. And very cutely, when I looked this up, we said there's shipping delays because of Sinterklaas. Right, so I guess a lot of people are ordering stuff this time of year abroad, but they still have an old picture where the Anta stuff says Anta flu, where they're kind of like making it off as there's some sort of flu thing. But when the package I have, maybe there was some regulation passed where the Dutch government was like, I don't think so. You need to take that flu. This is not medicine. But it's pretty good. You should try it out. The Anta thing. They serve it like mints at my my hairdresser, my barber, and I like them. Now, the other thing I want to point to is, speaking of coding, like I said, I like to co-code. I call it half-ass vibe coding because I actually do some coding. But I've implemented all these projects, these little tiny projects, whether it's for like playing D&D or doing other stuff, and I always find that each time I have to implement how I'm going to store and access files on the local system. I don't know if other people have this problem, and I come up with some different scheme or just where to put the log. And then I thought this is annoying to have to redo it, but there's this whole standard. I forget what it's called now, but it's the XDG, like probably X Windows desktop something scheme for what you put all your files. And if you've ever installed something and then you go look at the dot directories, you'll see the structure in your home directory that's a dot local directory and a dot config directory. And then in dot local, you have, I think, data, and I forget the other one. And then you might also have a dot cache directory. Now, that all comes from the XDG specification that talks about what this looks like and the order that you search through these directories, and if you've got user share and user local, all that kind of stuff. So I thought I should implement this in Java so I don't need to use it. So I did. And I put it's just like one class file. And it was very fun because it brought back the memory of like you start off with like a big mess of code. And then when you're done with it, you look at it and you're like, why was that so hard? Because you've eventually reduced down to it. But it's just a single file that will store your files for you and get them for you in this standard way of doing things. So you should check that out. I have it in GitHub, of course.
Of course.
I don't know. I haven't actually used it in an application yet, so we'll see how that goes. But I have extensive tests, and it passes all these tests. So
Agent says it's good.
Yeah, it was good stuff. Well, if you were to ask a meshed fleet of Kino machines that were running agents, what they would tell you is that you had listened to another fantastic episode of Software Defined Talk. Now, this is episode 549. So if you go to softwaredefinedtalk.com/549, you can check out links of things we talked about, things we didn't, those conferences, recommendations, and also how to join our Slack channel where we have all sorts of fun conversation on a daily basis. And also, if you don't subscribe already, you can figure out how to subscribe from there. It's a podcast. So you just search around and you'll find it. And with that, now you can find yourself something else to listen to. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. We made it. Are you back with us, Matt?
I don't understand this. Like,
No, you're not really.
I do the internet all day long, and it's literally restream,
Yeah.
or it's between 7 and 9 a.m. Like, I don't have any problems with Zoom or with Teams or Slack. It's weird.
It could definitely
It
be
probably
restreamed.
is
It's very
restreamed stuff.
possible it could be restreamed. I mean, it's just it's hard, it's kind of
But
hard to know.
But I on my other laptop, I had to do a speed test when I dropped, and it wasn't getting to anything either. So
Okay.
it is my ISP. It's something.
It's just
wonky.
everyone in the morning on your block is like reading this.
Yeah, it could be
Well,
time.
I mean,
Are you
there's-
what are we on? Are we on some type of fiber? Are we on like some shared bandwidth? What are you on there?
It's fiber to the home. I mean, there
Yeah,
is
so it should be
maintenance
good.
scheduled for tonight, but it
Yeah,
wasn't
but you
like
have fiber. You should have
emergency
plenty. I mean,
maintenance.
it's not like any shared
I
bandwidth.
don't. I
right?
mean,
It
it's.
should be good.
I think I've got like 2 gigabit down or something. It's.
Well, you're definitely maybe it's the latency is the problem, like because you're definitely.
Well, yeah. That's did a speed test. It was like your latency was just all over the place. Yeah, and then after that finished, I ran it again. It's like smooth as anything. So it's something on the line.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's because you live on the other side of the world, but we've done this so long that's.
I was gonna say your old place. It didn't. I don't think we didn't have it nearly as consistently.
Yeah.
We had issues.
It's
I know
like-
different.
But it's always between in the morning, like 7 to 9. Business hours, I'm fine. Like literally, I am on 5 hours of calls.
That's how it works in Australia.
It's
Australia,
probably
it only works in the business hours. Go ahead.
this is probably before they send the tradie out that kind of just like cleans up the wires from the last evening.
Yeah, you're sleeping on the line. Who knows?
All right. With that, thanks for everyone who hung in there with us this week and watched Matt struggle through the internet. It was always fun. Don't worry, Matt. I read your recommendation poorly. Then Cote read it correctly. So, it made it in
Everyone's
there.
going to get some umami poppy in their life.
I think so. Hopefully, I think we gave it a strong without having actually known about it for more than a minute. I think we gave it a strong recommendation. I think it came
I'll have
through.
to tune in for
A
that.
professional podcast recommendation.
Absolutely.
You're like, what's good? Chili oil.
That's right. All right. Well, thanks for everyone who watched on the stream, and we appreciate everyone who caught us later on YouTube. We'll be back streaming